Launch a missile at the USS Gerald R. and you've just signed your own death warrant. Not in some distant future, not eventually, but in the next 60 seconds. Your missile, your ship, possibly your entire coastline, gone. Before you can even confirm the launch worked. Sounds like Hollywood exaggeration, until you realize it's not the ship you're fighting. It's an entire weapons system that just happens to float. So what makes attacking this carrier basically suicide? Keep watching. The USS Gerald R. isn't just a ship. It's a $13 billion statement that says don't even think about it. That price tag is wild. That's more than the GDP of 64 countries. You could buy every NFL team and still have change left over. But here's the thing. That money didn't just buy a bigger boat. It bought something that fundamentally changed how naval warfare works. Let's start with what you're actually facing. The Ford is 1,106 feet long. That's longer than the Chrysler Building is tall. It displaces over 100,000 tons of American diplomatic persuasion. The flight deck, 4.5 acres of sovereign U.S. territory that can park itself off your coast and ruin your entire week, or month, or regime. But size isn't what makes it untouchable. Plenty of big things get sunk. The Titanic was big. The Yamato was big. Being large just makes you an easier target, unless you've got something else going for you. The Ford has something else. A lot of something else's, actually. Picture this. You're a naval commander. Maybe you're sitting in a Chinese Type 052D destroyer, or perhaps you're in a Russian Oscar II submarine. Doesn't matter. Your orders come through. Fire at the American carrier. You start your targeting sequence. And that's when your very bad day begins. See, the Ford doesn't travel alone, ever. And that's not just a fancy name. It's a military formation specifically designed around one concept. Nothing gets close to the carrier. Nothing. The typical strike group includes 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. Each one is packed with 96 vertical launch cells that can spit out SM-3 and SM-6 missiles like a very expensive, very angry vending machine. Then you've got a Ticonderoga-class cruiser with another 122 launch cells. Add at least one attack submarine lurking somewhere in the water, invisible and waiting. Oh, and the carrier itself has launchers too, just in case. But hardware is only part of the story. The real nightmare? The sensors. The strike group operates something called cooperative engagement capability. Fancy military term for everyone sees everything everywhere all at once. That destroyer 100 miles away, it can fire missiles using targeting data from the cruiser's radar. The E-2D Hawkeye, flying overhead at 25,000 feet, it's feeding real-time tracking to every ship in the group. The submarine? It knows where your submarine is. Even if you think you're being sneaky. It's not 5 ships. It's one distributed weapons platform with 5 floating pieces. And you just announced yourself by lighting up your fire control radar. Let's say you're feeling confident. You've got one of China's DF-21D carrier killer missiles. The media loves talking about these things. Anti-ship ballistic missiles that arc up into space and come screaming down at Mach 10. Unstoppable, they say. The end of American carrier dominance, they say. Here's what they don't say. That missile has to find the carrier first. In the middle of the ocean, while the carrier is moving at 30 knots, and launching electronic warfare aircraft that can jam your targeting systems, and deploying decoys, and creating a radar picture so confusing that your targeting computer might accidentally try to hit a tugboat in the Philippines. Even if your missile somehow survives the trip through space, even if it begins its terminal descent toward the Ford, it enters the most dangerous 60 seconds of its short existence. The strike group's SPY-6 radars, the most advanced in the world, pick it up immediately. Fire control solutions are calculated in milliseconds, and then the sky turns into a wall of interceptors. First, the SM-3S launch. These are exo-atmospheric kill vehicles. They leave the atmosphere to hit your missile while it's still in space. No warhead needed, just kinetic energy. A 300-pound interceptor, hitting your missile at combined speeds of over 15,000 miles per hour. Physics does the rest. Your missile disintegrates into very expensive confetti. Let's say you fired multiple missiles. Smart move. Saturation attack. Overwhelm the defenses. Except the strike group can engage dozens of targets simultaneously. The combat management system doesn't get tired. It doesn't panic. It doesn't make mistakes. It just calculates intercept solutions and starts launching. Your second wave of missiles makes it through the exo-atmospheric layer. Impressive. Now they face the SM-6S. They can hit aircraft, cruise missiles and ballistic missiles in terminal phase. Range? Classified, but estimated over 240 miles. Speed? Mach 3.5 and climbing. Your missiles are now in a shooting gallery. Still coming? Okay, we're now in the terminal phase. Close-in weapons systems activate. The RIM-116 rolling airframe missiles start firing. These little guys are fire-and-forget infrared homing missiles specifically designed to kill anti-ship missiles in their final seconds of flight. They've got an 86% success rate in testing. And the Ford carries multiple launchers. Your missile is now maybe 10 miles out. 5 miles. 2 miles. Congratulations, you've made it farther than most. Now you meet the Phalanx CIWS. Sailors call it the R2D2 of death, because of how it looks. It's a 20 Gatling gun that fires 4,500 rounds per minute of tungsten-penetrating rounds. It's completely autonomous. The system detects the incoming threat, calculates the intercept point, and creates a wall of metal in the sky. All in about 1.5 seconds. Your missile flies into what's essentially a metal buzzsaw. Let's say your missile beats the SM-3S, dodges the SM-6S, evades the rolling airframe missiles, and somehow survives the Phalanx. You've just accomplished something that has never happened in the history of U.S. carrier operations. Your missile hits the Ford. What happens next? Probably not what you think. The Ford has a reinforced flight deck, armored sections and redundant systems everywhere. It's compartmentalized into thousands of separate sections. Even a big one is not going to sink this thing. The Forstall in 1967 survived massive fires and explosions from its own aircraft. The Enterprise survived something similar. Carriers are built to take punishment that would obliterate smaller ships. You know what definitely happens next, though? Every asset in that strike group immediately knows exactly where that missile came from. Launch position calculated in seconds. Phase 8 Eaton Super Hornets are already launching from the Ford's deck, each one carrying anti-ship missiles. That took maybe 2 minutes from your launch to them being airborne. Your ship, your launch platform, your coastal battery, whatever you fired from, it's not a strategic asset anymore. It's a target. And unlike you, the Americans don't have to worry about their missiles getting through. Because you don't have a carrier strike group. You've got a ship with some surface-to-air missiles that are now tracking multiple inbound threats from different vectors. The Super Hornets come in low below your radar horizon. By the time you detect them, they're already launching AGM-84 harpoons. Then they break off. They don't even need to stick around. The missiles do the rest. Radar-guided, sea-skimming, and coming at you at 537 miles per hour. Your point defense systems, assuming you have any, have maybe 30 seconds to engage multiple inbound threats. How's that going for you? But wait, it gets worse. Remember that attack submarine in the strike group, the one you couldn't see? It's been tracking you this entire time. Virginia-class submarines are absurdly quiet. Russian submariners call them black holes because they disappear from sonar. It's been sitting there, 8 miles away, at periscope depth, just watching, waiting. Now it fires 4 Mk-48 torpedoes in the water. These things are smart. They're wire-guided initially, then go active on terminal approach. Top speed? 55 knots. Your ship does maybe 30. You can't outrun them. You can deploy countermeasures. But these torpedoes have been designed and updated for 40 years specifically to defeat countermeasures. They will find you. And when 650 pounds of high explosive hits below your waterline, physics takes over. Water is incompressible. The explosion creates a bubble that lifts your ship, breaks its keel, and then gravity does the rest. Your ship doesn't sink dramatically like in the movies. It breaks in half. Then it sinks. Every bit of it happens in the time it takes to watch a YouTube video. From your launch to your destruction, maybe 15 minutes. Probably less. Now let's talk about something even scarier. Everything I just described. That's the defensive capability. We haven't even discussed what the Ford can do to you offensively. The Ford carries approximately 75 aircraft. Not helicopters, not drones. Full combat aircraft. FA/A-18E/F Super Hornets, EA-18G Growlers for electronic warfare, E-2D Hawkeyes for airborne early warning, and a handful of other specialized platforms. Each Super Hornet has a combat radius of about 450 miles. That's not range, that's radius. It can fly 450 miles, fight, and fly 450 miles back. Simple math. The Ford can project power in a circle with a diameter of 900 miles. That's an area of 636,000 square miles. Of we can hit you from here, for context. That's larger than Alaska. An entire state's worth of battle space that the Ford controls just by existing in one spot. But the Ford didn't just match its predecessors. It revolutionized them. The Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, EMALS, replaced the old steam catapults. This isn't just a cool tech upgrade. It's a strategic game-changer. EMALS can launch aircraft more frequently, with less stress on the airframes, and can handle a wider variety of aircraft weights. Translation: more sorties. Faster tempo, better mission flexibility. The older Nimitz-class carriers could launch maybe 140 sorties per day if they really pushed it. The Ford, designed for 160 sorties per day under normal operations, with surge capability to 270. That's nearly double. Imagine you're on the receiving end of that. Not 140 strike packages coming at you. 270. Your air defenses will run out of missiles before the Ford runs out of jets. And those jets are launching faster. The old steam catapults needed maintenance and a steam plant to be running at full power. EMALS. It's electrical. More reliable, less maintenance, ready to go instantly. The Ford can go from 0 aircraft launch to 24 aircraft in the air in about 30 minutes. That's a full strike package. Airborne faster than it takes to watch a sitcom. Here's where it gets really unfair. Each of those Super Hornets can carry 17,750 pounds of weapons. Let's do that math. 24 aircraft times 17,750 pounds equals 426,000 pounds of ordnance. That's 213 tons of bombs, missiles, and freedom heading toward your position. In one wave. And remember, the Ford can do this multiple times per day. Every day. For months. You're not fighting a ship. You're fighting an entire air force that happens to be mobile. An air force with no need for negotiations with host countries. No concerns about basing rights. No worries about territorial sovereignty. It just parks 100 miles offshore and starts sending sorties. Let's say you're thinking about submarines. Smart. Submarines are the legitimate threat to carriers. They're quiet. They're deadly. And historically they've been the most successful anti-carrier weapon. The German U-boats proved this. So did American submarines in the Pacific. Here's the problem. It's not 1943 anymore. The Ford Strike Group includes at least one fast-attack submarine, whose entire job is to sanitize the waters around the carrier. Virginia-class boats are equipped with the most advanced sonar systems ever created. They can detect submarines at ranges that were science fiction 20 years ago. You've got to deal with the surface ships. Modern destroyers and cruisers carry towed array sonars that listen for the specific acoustic signature of submarines. They've got helicopters with dipping sonar and sonobuoys. The MH-60R Seahawk is essentially a flying submarine hunter. It can deploy sonobuoys in patterns, use magnetic anomaly detectors, and carry Mk-54 torpedoes. Your submarine has to approach to within torpedo range. For most torpedoes, that's maybe 30 miles. You have to cross through a defensive zone that extends 100 miles in every direction, where multiple platforms are actively hunting for you, and you have to do it quietly enough that none of them hear you. If you're detected, and you probably will be, the entire strike group prosecutes you. Surface ships drop torpedoes. Helicopters triangulate your position and attack. The screening submarine closes in. You're not hunting anymore. You're being hunted. And unlike you, they know exactly where you are. Even if you fire your torpedoes, modern carriers have countermeasures. The SLQ-25 Nixie is a towed decoy that emits signals making it look like a juicy carrier target. Your acoustic torpedoes might chase it instead. They've got other systems too, most of which are classified. But the basic concept is the same. Your torpedo has to find the carrier, chase the carrier, and catch the carrier. All while the carrier is launching countermeasures and maneuvering. All while every ship in the strike group is trying to kill you. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or rather, the mushroom cloud. What about nuclear weapons? Surely a nuclear-tipped missile would get through all those defenses and destroy the carrier, right? Technically, yes. A nuclear weapon would absolutely destroy the Ford. It would also absolutely guarantee a nuclear response from the United States. You don't get to nuke an American carrier and then go about your day. The U.S. nuclear doctrine is very clear on this. Receive nuclear retaliation. Not maybe, not possibly, definitely. So congratulations. Your missile worked. You sank the carrier. You also just ended your country. Because those Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines that nobody can find, they're finding you right now. Each one carries 20 Trident II missiles. Each missile carries multiple warheads. Each warhead is 100 kilotons. The one dropped on Hiroshima was 15 kilotons. Do the math on how badly you just miscalculated. This is why attacking the Ford is suicide. It's not just that the defenses are good. It's that the consequences are unthinkable. You're not starting a naval battle. You're starting a war that you cannot win. The Ford is a symbol, yes, but it's a symbol backed by the most powerful military in history. Touch it, and you're not fighting a ship. You're fighting an entire nation that has spent the last 80 years perfecting the art of power projection. Let's bring this back to reality. The Ford has been deployed since 2017, technically commissioned since 2017 but faced delays and entered service later. In that time, it has sailed through contested waters repeatedly, past Chinese artificial islands in the South China Sea, through the Strait of Hormuz where Iranian fast boats like to play stupid games, near Russian naval bases in the Mediterranean. Nobody has taken a shot. Not once. Not because they're scared of the ship, though they should be. Because they understand the math. The cost-benefit analysis of attacking a U.S. carrier is so absurdly lopsided that it doesn't even register as a rational option. You would accomplish nothing except ensuring your own destruction. China knows this. Russia knows this. Iran knows this. North Korea definitely knows this. It's why all their anti-carrier weapons, all their carrier-killer missiles, all their submarines and strategies remain theoretical. Because theory is safe. Actually trying it? That's suicide. The Ford represents something that goes beyond naval engineering. It's a demonstration of what happens when a nation dedicates resources, technology, and strategic thinking to a single platform. No ship is, but it's close enough that the gap between attacking it successfully and complete fantasy is basically non-existent. So why is firing a missile at the USS Gerald R. Ford a suicide mission? Because you're not firing at a ship. You're firing at a weapons system designed over decades specifically to ensure that anyone who tries exactly what you're trying dies before they can celebrate. You're picking a fight with an opponent that has more sensors, more missiles, more aircraft, more submarines, and more ways to kill you than you have ways to defend yourself. And even if by some miracle you succeed, you've just guaranteed that the full weight of American military power will be dedicated to erasing you from existence. The Ford doesn't need to be unsinkable. It just needs to be expensive enough to kill that nobody's willing to pay the price. And that price? Everything. Thanks for watching. If you found this interesting, there's a lot more where this came from.